This happened where there was this girl. This like even 40. She was like 40-year old, in art school many years ago, and she didn't like me. I could sense it. I could fucking sense she did not like anything about me. People, I don't know why. A part of me just wanted her to like me back. I didn't want to do anything with her, but I just wanted her friendship because I saw her being nice to other people. I'm like, she's nice to them, but with me, she's not nice to me. Like the fuck? Like what the kind of asshole am I? And when one day I was like, yo, nice painting. And then she was like, teacher, he keeps talking to me. And I was like, oh, in front of everyone. And I'm like, oh my fucking Christ, this is embarrassing. And I'm like, look, my fault. That's it. And she never talked to me. To this day, I don't know why, because I never even talked. I mean, yeah, but the point is that her hatred towards me made me want to get her to like me as a person. Like, look at me, I'm not a bad person. You give me a chance. And I guess she's like, I guess that's why, dude, okay? You're not paying attention here.
Then shifted tone, indirectly praising them. They felt they were winning her over and were encouraged to open up. Without realizing it, they would give freer rein to their emotions. In social situations, we all wear masks and keep our defenses up. It's embarrassing, after all, to reveal one's true feelings. As a seducer, you must find a way to lower these resistances. The charmer's approach of flattery and attention can be effective here, particularly with the insecure, but it can take months of work and can also backfire. To get a quicker result and to break down more inaccessible people, it's often better to alternate harshness and kindness. By being harsh, you create inner tensions. Your targets may be upset with you, but they are also asking themselves questions. What have they done to earn your dislike? When you then are kind, they feel relieved, but also concerned that at any moment they might somehow displease you again.
So it's almost like the difference when you're harsh, it allows you to be nice without them taking it for granted. Because at any moment, the harsh self can come out. So then you get a more of like a submissive version of the other person. What the fuck? The hell is going on here? Am I tripping here? This is kind of crazy. So if you're not harsh, then your niceness will be taken for granted because it's too abundant, and there's no fear of them losing that nice person. But by including the harshness, when you're nice, they hold on to every second of that experience because they fear that they could do something to upset you. This could seem a little toxic, but it works if you're a teacher. It works if you are a boss. Like if you have employees under you, right? It works if you just have anybody who you need them to be loyal and faithful to you. If you don't do that, then the people who work under you won't respect you.
Again, make use of this pattern to keep them in suspense, dreading your harshness and keen to keep you kind.
So you're able to get that love, but at the same time, fear. But also, you should allow your partner to do this too. Your partner, ideally, should have the confidence to walk away from you. And unfortunately, for you to genuinely respect your partner, you need to actually fear losing them. On that, look, man, let's keep it real here, okay? If you don't fear losing your partner, you're not really gonna treat them with as much respect as you should. Because the part in you that sometimes don't respect your partner, for example, with some people, is their own lack of personal accountability, not holding themselves to a higher standard, letting you get away with things. And that makes the other person more emboldened because they sense that weakness, and depending on their character, they could either take advantage of it, or if they have a good character, they'll leave it alone and still treat you with respect. But it takes conscious effort. It's very easy to be lured in by absolute power, complete control over you because of your fear and their lack of fear. It's very easy to be tempted towards that. So most people would take advantage of it. Not everyone practices consistent meditation. Not everyone has maybe religious morals that stops them from doing that, or personal values that stops them from doing that. Some people never really did that type of work, and so when the moment comes to get that power, they don't have a strong set of values that they've consciously chosen to oppose it. They just get unconsciously lured in to the dark path of power.
Your kindness and harshness should be subtle. Indirect digs and compliments are best.
Okay, so clearly not losing control, not yelling at them, not calling them names, all right? Those things you don't do. And you don't put your hands on them. And everything has to be consensual, okay? So those are the rules around when it comes to inflicting pain. Everything else, they keep canceling last minute, so you just don't respond for a few days. They're acting cold, and so you start pulling away, or vice versa, right? Things that they provoke, or even things that you notice in them that hurts your relationship. Maybe they're always late. Maybe they disrespecting you in front of their friends and they didn't notice it, and you don't want to say it because it might create a fight. Those things, yeah, call that motherfucker out. Those are the moments that life gives you to apply this.
Play the psychoanalyst. Make cutting comments concerning their unconscious motives. You're only being truthful. Then sit back and listen. Your silence will goad them into embarrassing admissions. Leaven your judgments with occasional praise, and they will strive to please you, like dogs.
Look, man, that was the book. That was the book.
Keys to seduction. Almost everyone is more or less polite. We learn early on not to tell people what we really think of them. We smile at their jokes, act interested in their stories and problems. It's the only way to live with them. Eventually, this becomes a habit. We are nice, even when it isn't really necessary. We try to please other people, to not step on their toes, to avoid disagreements, conflict. Niceness in seduction, however, though it may at first draw someone to you, it is soothing, comforting, soon loses all effect. Being too nice can literally push the target away from you. Erotic feeling depends on the creation of tension. Without tension, without anxiety and suspense, there can be no feeling of release, of true pleasure and joy. It is your task to create that tension in the target, to stimulate feelings of anxiety, to lead them to and fro so that the culmination of the seduction has real weight and intensity. So rid yourself of your nasty habit of avoiding conflict, which is, in any case, unnatural. You are most often nice, not out of your own inner goodness, but out of fear of displeasing, out of insecurity.
Yep. Sorry, people. I got like zoned in on what he was saying. He's like, because it's kind of like, holy shit, like it kind of blows your mind, right?
Go beyond that fear, and you suddenly have options. The freedom to create pain, then magically dissolve it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I made a video about this where if you're always nice, because again, a lot of you guys are nice or bitchy. Goddamn, let's talk about the devils, right? Bunch of Terminators out there. And so because you have a certain like one gear, you limit your options. You limit your options. An example was before, like I never gave compliments, right? I never validated people, like women, for example. And that was honestly because of insecurity. And the truth was, that actually worked better than being overly complimental, how I was before. And I had results, right? But when I started going to meditation retreats, a part of me just, I was like, no, I want to make people happy. That's what I thought. I was like, I want to make people happy. Why should I limit this person's happiness? They're good looking. Yeah, they may have heard it many times, but it doesn't hurt to hear it another time. So I began not going out of my way no more, but sort of just being a little bit more open to compliment, right? Or even looking for compliments and making sure that they're genuine, but not going too far like I used to. And quite surprisingly, I sort of understand how powerful they are now. But what's going on here is that I've actually just found a middle path. I don't do it as much, but I do it more often than I used to, right? And for me, anytime I compliment you or even do a friendly gesture, I put a lot of thought into it. And so, for example, like there was this girl that I'm seeing. Her dog died, and I'm not too good with like, oh, condolences. I really am not. I went over to watch her bury her dog, and I'm like, what do you do? So I'm like, just like, watching her fucking. And I'm like, should I help her remove she was making a hole, should I help her? Or is this like her thing? Because it's her dog. And when she finished with the thing, she put the dog in. That dog had a fucking big head. And the other dogs were like fucking wagging their tails. And I'm like, just see it. I was like, that's her name. They're supposed to be wagging their tails? Like, what's going on here? She's like, nah, they're happy he's dead. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. We burying Hitler here. She was like, and long story short, she buried him, and they dug her back up. Some evil shit, man. Like, there's some revenge type of stuff, right? But anyway, so before I left that day, because I had to leave early, I did a painting of the dog, and when I left, I didn't give it to her. I just put it like, where pictures belong. And a few minutes later, like 30 minutes later, she noticed it, and she was like, oh my God, that's so nice, right? That's how I do it, right? I really never give it to you. I don't see the reaction. I like it to just pop out of nowhere, right? And that's sort of a coldness to me, but at the same time, I like to do it a lot. So it's kind of like, you can't complain, motherfucker, okay? But at the same time, I am being warned. And that's like a good mix of it.
Your seductive powers will increase tenfold. People will be less upset by your hurtful actions than you might imagine. In the world today, we often feel starved for experience. We crave emotion, even if it's negative. The pain you cause your targets, then, is bracing. It makes them feel more alive.
That's pretty much what I was saying.
They have something to complain about. They get to play the victim.
They're in a novella. Like, people genuinely have a protagonist going through bullshit type of fantasy, and it's deep in their dark side. They're not really aware of it, but they want it, because when it happens, they stay. Everyone wants a passionate relationship that you guys both like each other, but also you have the ability to really sound off on them and be toxic. Everyone has that fantasy, people. I don't have too many of those. I really don't, right? But I'm just saying that the few times I've had it, I'm like, ooh, I kind of like this. I'm like, there was this girl in the Netherlands. I'm actually referring to a girl who did that. And yeah, like, I felt like I could argue with her, but at the same time, so it was just a weird thing. Like, it was a weird, like, a surprising thing that I liked, right? And it kind of made me understand why some people stay in abusive relationships. Like, it gave me the ability to empathize and go a little further on the extreme end of that, of the toxicity part. I can understand why they stay.
Result, once you've turned the pain into pleasure, they will readily forgive you. Stir up their jealousy. Make them feel insecure, and the validation you later give their ego by preferring them over their rivals is doubly delightful. Remember, you have more.
Yeah, people want to win. Give them something. Give them a competition. Create a competition. Rig it in their favor, so that they could win in the end. You know, it's. I know. Look, people. I could. This video could easily look like a me trying to convince myself to think this is moral, and to a certain degree, it's true, right? Because it does feel little uncomfortable, but then I just think for a second, and I really like logically think about almost any relationship, and you'll notice that this happens every single time. Every single time this happens. Why not make it happen, but calibrate it with a less toxicity? You know, rather than picking a fight because both of you guys have secret resentment. Rather than creating resentment, approach the problems as they come. Confront them as they come. Don't just hold things in and let it come out once you're at the fever pitch. No. If you genuinely do conflict resolution and communicate well, you're gonna have uncomfortable situations. Most relationships do the opposite here. Most relationships let these little things build up until they had enough. But at that point, the pain you provide is so intense it could break the relationship. This is fixing a problem before it happens. You just every time, you know, you bring up, you talk about things. If they misbehave, you punish them by, again, punishment is not, it is talking about the situation because it is uncomfortable. It hurts. It doesn't release dopamine for you to confront someone who did something wrong. And as long as you don't do it in a way like, you keep doing this wrong, you say, you're making me feel this way, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, these things are uncomfortable, but it's what makes the relationship better once you get over that stage.
More to fear by boring your targets than by shaking them up. Wounding people binds them to you more deeply than kindness. Create tension so you can release it. If you need inspiration, find the part of the target that most irritates you and use it as a springboard for some therapeutic conflict. The more real your cruelty, the more effective it is.
Okay, people, you gotta understand, you know, that he's being a little bit hyperbolic with his exaggerations. So Robert Greene does that on purpose.
In 1818...
All right, we're gonna finish this tomorrow, okay? See you guys.